Hey, everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our YNR chat for Sunday, November 6th. This is an all audio version of my YNR chat for this week because I'm sitting here in my house right now. It's 40 degrees outside, and I have no heat. My heater went out, and I'm sitting here waiting for the heating and cooling guy to show up, and I thought, well, it probably would be weird if I was recording myself talking about YNR when the guys showed up, but I can sneakily do a microphone and not seem quite so ridiculous. So I thought we'd just do an audio chat today. It's better than nothing, and really, my face is not all that much to write home about, so let's just do a little audio chat. Now, first of all, I think the most important development of the week is that Sharon is off the hook. Finally! Sharon is out of jail, and of all things, of all people, it was Phyllis who ended up facilitating that. And also, strangely, it was kind of Phyllis and Ronan's connection, we'll call it, put a quotes around connection, that ended up sealing Sharon's fate, because Phyllis went to Ronan's office to do a little flirting version 2.0, and he has on his desk all of this evidence slewn around. And Phyllis looks in a box, sees a memory card, realizes that it's from when they drudged the creek after Diane's death, and realized that that was the memory card that she had been looking for, that she and Adam went to Thailand to try to find. And after all was said and done, the data was recoverable, and Adam threw it into the creek to spite Sharon. And so she realized that's what it was. She and Ronan rushed over to the court, played the recording for the judge, and it showed that Sharon was indeed trying to save Sky's life. It was not a murder, and it was completely clear. So the judge decided to drop all of the charges, and it was such a good relief of a moment, just finally getting done with all of this Sharon in jail crap. And Phyllis was in such rare form. I've enjoyed Phyllis so much this week. She pretty much let Sharon know in no uncertain terms that it was her that saved her, that it was Phyllis's doing. Like, she found a way to make it all about her. Like, see, it was me. I'm the one that saved you, not my sister. It was me. So she enjoyed rubbing it in Avery's face, I think, most of all, but she enjoyed being the one to rescue Sharon, and to do it, kind of at Avery's expense in some ways. So it was a really good moment for Phyllis. She was just so condescending toward Sharon. She just looked at her like, yeah, I just saved your life. Here's a tissue, bitch. It was really good. But when everything comes out in the wash, Phyllis did believe in Sharon's innocence the entire time. It was, Phyllis always felt that Sharon was innocent and shouldn't be charged, and Phyllis has gone out of her way to try to prove that, for the sake of Sharon's kids, for the sake of Nick. So it was, I think, very fitting that Phyllis ended up being the one in the end to save her, and Sharon just got time served. So there really is no more Sharon hanging around in that jail community room. I'm so glad for that. I mean, really, my whole overarching feeling about this entire thing is just finally. It has been so long that we've been. It seems like forever since we were on the volcano. It's been so long since Sharon got arrested for that and spent time in jail and escaped, and we had our little jaunt to San Pueblo and then back in Genoa City. I mean, it's been at least a couple of months, even just since she had been arrested back in Genoa City. So it was a long freaking time coming, and I have to say, it was so amazing to see Sharon back in her house again. I mean, we haven't even seen the set for Nick and Sharon's house. Of course, I still think of it as Nick and Sharon's house. It's Sharon's house. We haven't seen that set in so long, and I almost forgot how beautiful it was, the stained glass windows, and it's very classic, but it has kind of a homey feel to it. And we hadn't seen her in her house in so long, and just seeing her in her environment was so wonderful. I mean, don't you remember the day that Nick carried her in to that house? So it was so just nice to see her back there, and it was so nice to see her back with her kid again, back with Faith after all of the running around, with, Nick not being able to really see her while she was in jail. And now she's able to reconnect with Faith, and I'm very surprised, but she decided that she wanted to leave town. I mean, she's got the press swarming all around her, trying to get a comment out of her. There's been a lot of drama surrounding that court case. And Sharon, at Victor's suggestion, decided that she just wants to get away, just have a chance to reconnect with her daughter and, just get away from all of the craziness in Genoa City. So she decides to take a trip, and surprisingly, I really, really wasn't expecting this. She goes back to San Pueblo and goes to visit Sam. I was totally expecting Sam to be off the scene. I thought he was gone forever. But I really appreciate that Y&R decided to bring this storyline full circle and take her back to San Pueblo, because I know a lot of people did not enjoy that storyline as much as I did, but I really did, and I thought it was cool that Sharon realized that in so many ways she does owe a lot to Sam. He may not have been the one to find the memory card, but this is a man who put his life on hold for her. So she wanted to introduce him to her child, and she wanted to see Piper again and get in touch with that part of her life, because I think in many ways Sharon felt that she was at her best. She was at her purest when she was at the ranch with Sam. She was putting on no airs. She didn't have to be Sharon Newman. She didn't have to be, part of this rich society. She was just able to be herself. And I thought a really telling comment by Sam was, he just looked at her and said, "I know why you came back here. It's because your soul is here." And in some ways, I think, it might be an overstatement, but in some ways I do think that Sharon earned her soul there. She struggled. That was not an easy time in her life. But in some ways she grew a lot as a person as a result of being there, and as a result of seeing this lifestyle and letting Sam into her life and being let into his. And so I thought it was a good little wrap up to this storyline. Now, I don't know if she's gonna stay there for a little while, or if she's just kind of passing through. But I guess we'll have to see. I mean, Sam is, the actor is definitely gone from the show, right? Is there any chance Sharon's going to move back there? No, right? That's not possible. She'll be back in Genoa City before we can say Adam. So Adam is the other element of this that just, it can't be denied. Adam set up that whole scenario with Heather, totally just setting her up to look like a jerk roping her into that situation where photographs were taken of her and him kissing and compromising, Sharon's case. That was Adam's intent, was to try to compromise try to make it look like the prosecution was compromised into getting Sharon a mistrial. Well, that information did not end up coming out during the trial. Avery was just about to drop that bomb. I mean, Heather was looking whiter than usual in the court. She knew, actually, Adam gave her a heads up that those pictures were about ready to be exposed, and she was ready to puke. I mean, you could really tell she was ready to just throw up all over herself, and she tried at the last minute, begged Avery to not use the photos, but Avery was ready to move forward. She was ready to drop that bomb. But when Phyllis and Ronan broke in with the memory card, it just wasn't necessary. So Adam now is in this situation where he wanted to be the one to save Sharon. Over the course of the past couple of weeks, he's had sort of a moment where he's, weakening. He realized that Sharon had this affair with Sam, and he got all grumpy and offended by it. And over the course of time, he's just started to soften up a little bit. And he wanted to, I think, in the end, be the one to save Sharon, And as it looked like she was getting ready to get out of jail, I think he wanted to reunite with her. And so this was his plan. I mean, it's so classic Adam to do that to Heather, to just throw Heather right under the bus to save Sharon. And it's just, actually, Avery made a comment that put it perfectly. She said, have you ever had a cat who brings you a dead bird and as if it's a gift and then expects you to be grateful for it? Well, that's Adam. Is that not the truth right there? That's exactly what he did. He was like, I'm going to slaughter Heather for you, Sharon, and I'm going to expect you to be grateful for it. And he did. He has had a couple of interactions with Sharon since she got out of jail where he's basically saying to her, look, we're still in love with each other. We're always going to be a part of each other's lives. Sharon actually gave him a call right before she left town. And you kind of got the sense that maybe she wanted to reconnect with him. But as soon as he showed up, she flipped and started giving him the ultimate kiss off. She was like, you make me sick. I don't want to have anything more to do with you. But Adam, in this very smug way, just said to her, we're never going to be able to quit each other. We're never going to be able to forget each other. We've played an important role in each other's lives, and if you think that you can just turn around and forget me, I think you're mistaken. And it was a very spooky sort of ending. She was like, get out of my house. Adam left. But you just get this sense that he knows he's right. I think Sharon is always going to have to fight those feelings for Adam. I think she knows that he's bad for her, and God help her if she does get back together with Adam. I mean, I'm telling you, I love the connection between Adam and Sharon. I do. I see them together on screen, and I want it. But I know that she cannot get back together with him after everything that he has done. I mean, when he tossed the memory card, that's when it had to be over for me. I mean, as much as I do think that the two characters are drawn to each other and I enjoy it, I know that he is no good for her. Everything, the bad that has happened to her in the past year is directly because of him. Adam is bad news. He cannot be trusted, and I don't ultimately want them to get back together. I know it's a bad idea, and I know Sharon knows it's a bad idea, and maybe that's why she's gone back to San Pueblo. Maybe she's trying to kind of reset her mind and realize that there are actually good men out there who are not out to have some sort of twisted, creepy, weird relationship, that she can have some kind of relationship that is healthy. And as much as I really do think there's a pull between Adam and Sharon, I do hope that is what happens for Sharon. I hope she becomes involved with someone in a healthy way, because this relationship with Adam for her has just been nothing but trouble, and it will continue to be nothing but trouble if she chooses to pursue it. It's like playing with fire, and I just hope, I have to hope that, for crying out loud, this woman has learned her lesson. Well, now, as much as I have hated Heather, and you know I have hated Heather, I do feel bad for her. I cannot help it. I hate to see anybody down. And what Adam did to Heather was so wrong. I mean, she didn't do anything to him. She has done nothing but help him repeatedly. I mean, she's the one who let him leave town to go get his experimental eye surgery. I mean, in so many ways, he owes Heather for his vision. After everything, I mean, she's been nothing but understanding toward him. And then she ends up in the end being a perfect example of what happens when you get involved with Adam. I mean, look at his freaking scorecard. Sharon goes to jail, is separated from her child in the beginning. He stole her freaking baby. Heather, he destroyed her career. It's just, it's kind of what she gets for trusting him, but I still feel bad for her. She is in a horrible way. I mean, not only to be caught kissing a witness, just in a job indiscretion, but the fact that it's Adam. That is humiliating in and of itself, because she's been burned by him before, and now everybody in her life knows that it happened. I could not help but feel sorry for her, and I'm sort of surprised that she didn't just hang herself. I was sort of expecting to, have a scene of just showing two pairs of pumps standing on a chair. And then just out of nowhere, a jump, and then a slight kicking of the pumps, and then just a slow hanging and just a quietness. It's so horrible. I'm so sorry. But I did halfway expect her to just hang herself. But instead, she is leaving town, just as I'm sure we all kind of could have guessed. She's leaving town. She's going back to New York, where it's easier to have anonymity, where people are not going to be staring and pointing at her. And, as much as I feel bad for Heather, I think I feel worse for Paul. Poor Paul. I mean, both of his children are duds. Really. Heather gets involved in this scandal, and so his daughter is publicly humiliated, and it was his son that facilitated it. I feel so bad for him. Although it was really great to see more of Paul this week, actually getting some meatier lines, being able to get into the storyline and, play referee between his two children. Although, oh my gosh, I have to know if anybody else noticed this. This is so bad. I love you, Paul, but in the scene, his last scene with Heather at her apartment, if you want to go back and watch it, it's Friday's show, right at about the halfway point. Paul's in Heather's apartment trying to kind of convince her not to go and to sort of console her. And I am telling you, I could see Paul's balls. Paul's balls were hanging out. It was on one side. He was wearing too tight jeans, and just I don't know. They must have shifted in a very awkward way, because just both of his balls seemed to be chunked over onto the right side of his leg, and it just appeared in this bulge. And I even kind of think maybe the camera people noticed it, because at first I was looking at the scene and I'm going, dang, those Paul's balls are just hanging out. And then I noticed that they started to kind of tighten in on the scene, like just like maybe they noticed it and decided to zoom in a little bit because it was kind of obvious. So go back and watch it if you want to see Paul's balls on Friday's show that aired in the US, and it's about halfway point. It's right after the 30-minute mark. So go look it out. Go check out Paul's balls. But it's been good to see more of him. I do enjoy that. I just feel sorry, for him that it has to be under these circumstances because his daughter is a flake and a failure, unfortunately. And his son is a total creep. I mean, like, does you guys feel that way? Because immediately I knew that this guy was not appealing to me. But now that we're getting more into it, I realize that Ricky just makes me want to puke. There is just something about his head or something, I don't know, but he just gives me the creeps. And he actually reminds me of a young Adam Newman. When Adam first came into town, he had a chip on his shoulder. He had a feeling that all of the other siblings, all of the other descendants of Victor had been handed something. And he just was bitter about it, and Ricky was making some similar comments about how Heather was probably pampered, when she was a kid. And it wasn't until he started to have some heart-to-hearts with her that he realized that wasn't the case at all. Heather actually has had a really hard life, and that just made, him all the more guilty. I can sense that Ricky feels bad about what happened. I don't think he intended to hurt her. I think he's young, and I think he got caught up in what was going on. And I'll tell you, I still don't understand when he suddenly became a journalist, because I am telling you, if I'm wrong, please correct me. Please correct me. Because when he first came onto the show helping Avery, he was a legal researcher. He was not a journalist. And now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're pulling out this card like he's a journalist. And that annoys me. I feel like this character is ill-conceived. I feel as though he's been thrown onto the scene with, and just, there's really, I can't see any real redeeming qualities here. I sense that he feels bad about what happened to Heather, but I think that at this point, he's just, his overarching feeling is selfishness. I think he wants to do what he wants to do in order to further his own career, further his own life, further himself, because now he has decided to turn his anger onto Phyllis, and rightfully so, because it was Phyllis's fault. And that these photos got out. Heather was almost scot-free. Avery was not going to use them in the trial, and she almost totally could have gotten away with it. But as Phyllis was in that courtroom revealing the truth about the memory card, she walks right up to Avery's little defense table and, without anybody knowing it, swipes the photos. This key evidence. Phyllis just grabs it, takes it back to Restless Style, and publishes it in a web article for the world to see. Now, Ricky is clearly upset about this. These were his photos. He's the one that, well, aside from Heather, it should be Heather who's the most upset. And she did have words with Phyllis. She walked right into Restless Style and gave Phyllis a shove. But Ricky is the most upset because he was the taker of the photos. He is, in just as much crap at this point as Heather with his father. And the most key element here is that he has Avery on his side, and there's no love lost certainly between Phyllis and Avery. So now Ricky and Avery are teaming up, and they want to sue Restless Style for publishing these pictures, and they have every right to. Phyllis stole evidence. She stole this evidence right out of a courtroom. I mean, that's bad. That is really, really bad. And she published it for the world to see. And I honestly don't blame them for suing. First of all, Avery is suing for the stolen photos on behalf of Ricky, but she's also suing because this is evidence that was stolen. She's pressing criminal charges because this was evidence that was stolen from a criminal court case. I mean, like, it's almost shocking that Phyllis thought she was just going to be able to get away with it, but that's sort of Phyllis's style. Phyllis kind of does whatever she wants, and damn the consequences, and she never seems to pay for them either. I mean, really, she's like Victor in that way. She's like the female Victor. She just does whatever she wants to do, and she always ends up getting away with it. Well, this time, it really doesn't look good for her. Nick is very upset, okay? Nick is the owner of the magazine. Nick owns Restless Style, and now Restless Style is in, a line of fire. And I think Nick has a real right to be upset with Phyllis. She went right over his head and ended up publishing that article about Devon, just right in contradiction with him, which really pissed him off. And then she went and stole evidence and published it in his magazine, right under his nose, without even telling him. And it's Nick's butt that's on the line here. I mean, a lawsuit could tank his magazine entirely. In one foul swoop, his entire investment, his entire current career could be gone. Restless Style could be gone because of Phyllis's carelessness. And I think that a really, really interesting conversation took place midweek between Victor and Nick. And Victor was kind of trying to convince Nick that he shouldn't be so hard on Sharon. Because, Nick has not been wanting to let Sharon see the kids, and he had a frank discussion with her. Nick had a frank discussion with Sharon early in the week, wherein he kind of told her, look, I don't really trust you anymore. You're not really the person that I thought that you were. And Victor sensed that that was sort of wrong, and he wanted to try to nudge Nick into Sharon's corner, which is pretty much what Victor's been doing all week, trying to ensure that Sharon has people in her corner. But the conversation between Victor and Nick was significant because Victor made the point about how Nick holds Sharon to a different standard than he does, for instance, Phyllis. And he asked Nick to reconsider that. Why do you hold Sharon to this very high standard of morality, yet you don't with Phyllis? You accept that Phyllis is a bit of a loose cannon and she kind of does what she wants. It is a different standard. And Victor pointed it out, and it was a really, really interesting point. And I think that it started to sink in for Nick. And I think it's becoming, kind of a last straw, or I don't know if it'll ever be a last straw, but it's becoming a boiling point with Nick that Phyllis just does whatever that she wants, and he's getting kind of tired of it. So Nick decides that he's going to take matters into his own hands, and he's going to try to make this lawsuit go away. Again, it's Nick sweeping up after the women in his life. They make a mess, and he runs around behind them and sweeps it up. So Nick decides to go to Avery to try to get the lawsuit to go away. Now, I am going to just, for a moment, sidetrack here and go out on a limb and say that if Nick wanted the lawsuit to go away, shouldn't he be talking to Ricky? No. He goes to Avery. And why does he go to Avery? Because he's totally attracted to her. I mean, this whole time, Nick has been talking to Avery against Phyllis's wishes. This is the only thing that Phyllis has asked him to do. Stay away from my sister. Just stay away from my sister. It's the only thing she's asked of him. Even though Nick has screwed her over repeatedly, this is the one thing she asked him not to do, and he continues to do it. And let's face it, it's because he's attracted to her. He's been attracted to her. And I think the thing that attracts him most to Avery is the fact that she's kind of a cross between Phyllis and Sharon. She's sort of a middle ground. She's not quite as, sort of saintly or motherly as Nick likes to see Sharon, and she's not as reckless and fierce and, redheaded fiery devil as Phyllis. She's kind of somewhere in the middle. And I think that's what attracts Nick to her. So Nick goes to Avery to try to convince her to drop the lawsuit, and it's not 5 minutes before he's ripping his shirt off. They're both ripping their shirts off and smooching. I'm telling you, I don't know if they're going to end up having sex, but I'm pretty sure sex is on the agenda. It's possible one of them will come to their senses and decide not to do it, but I don't know. How do you guys feel about this? Are you guys feeling Nick and Avery? Is it resonating with you? Are you finding it hot? I'm a Phyllis fan, and so I think it's difficult. I don't know. I don't like to see Nick betraying Phyllis in this way. However, it's certainly not as if he's the only one. I cannot deny that it takes two to tango here, and Phyllis is doing her own amount of tangoing. Now, every time it seems lately that Phyllis and Nick have a fight, Phyllis goes to Ronan. I think Phyllis has kind of a pattern here where when something goes wrong in that relationship, she goes to someone who's going to pay attention to her. Like, Nick, if you won't give me the attention I need, I'm going to go get the attention. So she goes to Ronan and starts... as a matter of fact, she goes to Ronan's office, slams the door shut behind her, locks it, and then just jumps on Ronan like he's a freaking bucking bronco. I mean, she's just jumps on him and ready to go for a ride. She whips off too. This was a funny scene. If it weren't hot, it would be a little funny. I mean, the overwhelming feeling is hot for me, but it was also funny that Phyllis, she teared off her dress in one gesture, one really easy gesture. Her dress just pops off in front of Ronan, and she's of course wearing this amazing lingerie set underneath it. And I'm also thinking, does Phyllis wear an amazing lingerie set every day just in case? Or did she go home and change into the amazing lingerie set after she got into the argument with Nick? Because my luck, on the day that I decide to go pull something like that, I'm wearing the bottom of the drawer panties and bra, everything else. All of my amazing lingerie is in the wash. And now I'm down to the ones where the freaking elastic is pulling out from the top of the underwear, and I'm going to visit the sex wolf. No. Phyllis had on an amazing lingerie set, and Ronan just could not help himself. He is the sex wolf. I mean, rawr. What was he gonna do? It was, of course, hot, in my opinion, but I really have taken to heart a point that someone made to me last week. That one thing we know about Ronan, the one thing we know about Ronan to be true, is that he takes his job seriously. Ronan is all about his job. Now, here he is letting a suspect in a murder that he's investigating come into his office, rifle through the evidence, looking at that memory card, and having sex with her in his office when there's probably people outside in the police station. There's constantly people coming in and out of that police station, and he's just stooping a suspect right there in his office? I mean, that is out of character. I'm really glad somebody made that point to me, because I get blinded by the sex. We all know. But it is out of character for him. I mean, you can't tell me that the people out in the office are not hearing the growls of passionate lovemaking. I mean, neither Phyllis or Ronan strike me as the type of person to keep it quiet during sex. I'm sure they're both howling for the moon in there. So it does seem out of character for Ronan, but certainly not out of character for Phyllis. I think she's in it for the sex and for the revenge. Nick and Phyllis are not really exclusive. They did state verbally back, a month or two ago that they are not official. They're not exactly back together. They're stuppin'. They're happy to do it. They've always had that amazing sex to connect them, but they're not back together in a monogamous way. So I think that, the fact that they're both having affairs right now, it sort of is an affair and it sort of isn't. I think that Nick would be more annoyed at Phyllis going out and just sleeping with somebody, but I think Phyllis has more of the right to be annoyed by the fact that Nick is sleeping with her sister. Okay, well, those were the main storyline updates for this week. The only other things that I kind of wanted to mention were, I got to talk a little bit about the Halloween party. It was kind of great. I think my award for best costume has got to go to Michael. As a gangster. He was amazing. I thought his costume was the best. Who do you guys think was the best dressed Halloween costume? Leave me a comment. Tell me who your favorite costume was at the party at Jimmy's. I have to be honest with you guys, so many of the costumes I could not even recognize. I'm looking at people going, I can't even tell what you're supposed to be. Like, Lauren, what the hell is she supposed to be? What exactly was her costume? Was she like a showgirl? Was she just Michael's arm candy? I don't get it. And by the way, she broke her leg or her foot again? Isn't this the second time this year that Lauren has broke something and she's been on crutches? What the heck? I hope her a speedy recovery. She's never on screen, and then she comes on screen and another broken something. But for the most part, I really seriously could not tell what people were. What was Eden? She had some kind of fluffy flower thing on her head. I'm not cool, I guess. I'm not hip, not with it. I don't know what that was supposed to be. Abby was a strawberry. I got that. Victoria was kind of a baby doll, and Victoria was slashed. It was kind of funny. I think I really liked Victoria at the Halloween party. She was very, very sloshed, and so sloshed that she ended up making out with Billy, who was dressed as Santa Claus. She goes home totally drunk. Billy follows her in his Santa Claus costume, still in disguise, and she can't get in the door. She's fumbling with the keys, and Santa Claus comes up behind her and is like, "Here, little girl, let me help you." It was kind of creepy, Santa Claus and Victoria in her little girl costume, Santa's making sexual advances on her. They both get into the house, he gets her down on the couch, and they, kiss a little bit. And I'm like, Victoria, what is wrong with you? You must have been really, really out of it if you are, I've never been so drunk that I would mistake reality for a dream. And, that could have been anybody. You're lucky it was Billy dressed as Santa, because it could have been the creepy old wino that followed you home from downtown at Jimmy's and could have gone inside and had his way with you. You're just so lucky, Victoria. Nick should have made sure she got safely inside, but instead, no, she had a little moment with Billy, which was quickly deterred when he found the divorce papers. And by the way, just slight tangent, Billy has enlisted Kane to help him try to clear his name. Billy has decided that he's not going to be Victor's puppet. He's not going to be pushed around. He's not going to let Victor push him out of town. So he's decided he wants to clear his name for whatever in the hell it was that happened in Myanmar. Again, we got a little more information this week. Billy has decided to ask Kane to help him clear his name, and he sort of described to Kane basically that whatever it was, it had to do with a girl and some drugs. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a very bad things type of scenario where the girl OD'd and, he's going to get charged or he's supposedly charged with giving her the drugs, or I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is, but those are the two elements, drugs and a girl. So Kane is reluctantly, I think, going to help him try to clear his name. So hopefully we'll have more about that be revealed within the coming weeks. Now back to the Halloween party. What the hell was Daniel supposed to be? Please leave me a comment and tell me. Like, as far as I could tell, he was just gay. Daniel had the gayest Halloween costume he could possibly have had. He was essentially just in a blue leotard with a weird sparkly gold headband and a medal around his neck, which I guess maybe he was supposed to be either a superhero or a god, like some sort of Egyptian god or something. I don't know. To me, it just looked gay. And what was Devon? I know he's someone. I know he's supposed to be someone because he had that tattoo on his neck. It was like a spider web tattoo, and I'm pretty sure that's someone from pop culture that I don't know. But either way, I have to say Devon did look really hot with that dark eye makeup on. I just thought he looked really good. I mean, better than I've seen him look in a while. I think we should see Devon in some dark makeup more often. That kind of did it for me. I thought that was really good. But whatever, I think that the best part of the entire party was Angelo and his daughter. Please, YNR, I want more Angelo and his daughter. I want Gloria in there too. I want Gloria and Angelo and Angelo's daughter. I want Gloria and Angelo to hook up and the daughter to be kind of a foil for Gloria. I think that would be amazing. Angelo was like, Michael's going on about, kind of doing his I'm a gangster kind of shtick, and Angelo just looks at him like, you think this is funny? Does this amuse you? It was so cute. That was a great moment. And his daughter is just amazing. I know she's somebody. I think the actress who's playing her is, I think, from American Idol or something like that. I don't know. I don't watch that. But Angelo loves his daughter, and he thinks she has a voice like an angel, and so he tells her to get up and do some karaoke, and she sings a song that is just awful. It's just god awful. It's so classic. I mean, that is such a classic kind of storyline. It's very Bullets Over Broadway. If you've ever seen that Woody Allen film, it's kind of that where, he believes his daughter is so great and he's listening to her singing and thinks it's like an angel, and he wants Devon to produce her record, and Devon's like, I don't know about that. But the whole thing was just such comedy. I totally enjoyed that, and I totally want to see more of that. That was good comic relief. So I enjoyed the full Halloween party. I hope that you guys enjoyed the Halloween party, and I hope that you had wonderful Halloweens in and of yourselves. I hope you guys got to dress up and eat a little bit of candy. I've been eating way too much candy. But it's very tasty. I can't help myself. I probably have gained a couple of pounds this week, but it's the beginning of the holidays. We're going to be eating more. Just get used to it. We've got Thanksgiving around the corner. We're going to stuff ourselves. And then all of the December holidays. If we're not fasting, we'll be stuffing after we fast, and it'll be good. So just give yourself an extra belt notch, and just know the holidays are on their way. And I do always love the holiday YNR shows, so those will be a pleasure to get to watch too. So that's gonna do it for me for now. I'm freaking getting ready I need some heat. It's cold. It's cold in my house. So I'm hoping this guy's gonna be here soon. But I'm glad I'm glad he was a little late so I had more time to talk with you guys, because I always enjoy that. I love getting your feedback. It seems like there's been less feedback lately. It's a little disappointing to me. It's challenging to keep myself going, to keep myself motivated to chat every week. I love it. I do it, for myself too. But it does help when you guys feedback and give me your input. Helps me helps me helps me have a full 360 view of the show, which I really like. Helps, give me thoughts that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And just, it's good to hear from my YNR friends. So if you haven't commented in a couple of weeks, please be sure to just say hi. Just leave me a hi. That'd be good. That'll let me know that you're still here. Of course, I love everybody who regularly comments. You're my angels. I love you so much. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you all have to say. So everybody have a wonderful rest of the week, and I'm going to try to stay warm, and I will be back next week to chat with you.